Hi, my name is Jessie Kwak, and I am the editor of the Crooked series of sci-fi crime anthologies. Today, I'm presenting a series of readings that we are doing to promote the anthology. This reading was originally recorded October 5th, and it features me reading from my story, which is set in the Nancy Chronicles universe. So I will just dive right in. This story that I'm going to read is part of my Nancy Chronicles series, and it takes place before the events of the first book. And this actually was a suggestion from my mom. I was trying to figure out what I should read or what I should write for this anthology, and she had some answers about some character backstory. So I wrote this to answer questions for my mom, who's my biggest fan, and she's here right now. So where did my reading go? There it is. Alex holds his breath as he reaches for the statuette, fingertips brushing gilded stone, rope taut under his bare feet and pulsing faintly with his heartbeat. It's a 12-story drop to the chasm floor if he falls, but falling isn't the fate that worries him. The worst fate is getting caught. Alex's nimble fingers ease his prize from its niche, a centuries-old carving of Saint Tay Fatima, half a meter tall and heavier than he expected. Up close, the detail work is exquisite. St. Tay's beatific smile, the gilt-clad folds of her gown, the stars carved into the hem of her robe. It's much too beautiful to be kept in a niche so far up. Alex shakes his head and nestles the statuette into the folds of a soft towel to protect it, then slips it into his pack. He pivots carefully and takes a deep, calming breath. He may have the statuette, but he's only halfway done with this job. He still has to traverse the slack line back across the chasm. When he pauses to listen, Alex hears only water trickling in the darkness, somewhere far below the place where his slack line runs a pale ribbon through the black to the curve of the balcony that will be his escape. The temple remains asleep. The residents and guardians, here Alex imagined black-clad holy soldiers in a whirling dance of sizzling laser-edged blades, are unaware there's a thief in his midst. Alex slides one bare foot out along the slack line, arms spread for balance. The statuette isn't heavy, but the extra weight is enough of a variable that he finds himself off balance. Core tight, breath caught in his chest, eternally grateful for the stillness of the air in this cavern. His thighs burn with the effort, his shoulders aching and taut, and was that movement? A shadow far below? Alex pauses, the slack line quivering beneath his feet, but he can't hear much above the rush of his heartbeat in his ears. A footstep. He's sure he heard it. There's no way out now but forward, so he renews his pace, pushing himself despite the ungainly pack. The slack line becomes more taut as he closes in on the balcony, stabilizing imperceptibly, and Alex allows himself a flash of hope. He's almost there. A door shuts, somewhere close. Alex's foot slips. Instinct kicks in as he falls, and he twists in the air like a cat, right hand closing around the slack line and yanking his arm almost out of its socket. He bites back a cry, ignoring the wrenching pain and letting himself swing. Out and then back, he catches a grip on the line with his left hand. Heart racing, he inches towards the balcony, fingers first finding the slack line's knot, then the balcony rail it's tied to. Alex steadies himself, then heaves, finding scrabbling purchase with bare toes until he can haul his lean, lithe frame up and over the railing to safety. He lands lightly on solid ground, crouched and listening, calming his breath once more. He doesn't think he made much noise, even during a scramble. If he alerted any of the sentries, they haven't put out a call. Otherwise, there would be lights blazing, sirens and drones. The cavern's silent. Alex spares a moment to check that the statuette of Saint Tay Fatima is intact and unharmed in its wrapping. He breathes a sigh of relief, then stands, and finds himself face to face with the dark-robed figure. Alex lets out a yelp. "Alexander Abdul Quinones," says the figure, her voice a whip, a lasso. Alex roots to the spot despite every fiber of his being screaming for him to run. "What in Saint's fury are you doing?" "Ayala Secretary, I can explain." The head ayah of the Amaya Apostles Convent in Artemis City sweeps her hood back to reveal her face. Her eyes are normally creased with laugh lines, her lips kind, but now her furious gaze cuts past Alex to where the slack line bridges the gap from the balcony over the convent's gardens 12 stories below. Her eyes flitter closed, annoyance spiked with worry. Alex knows that look well. He's earned it more than once in his 17 years at the convent. "Give me the statue," she says, fixing him with a look once more, "and take that rope down immediately." "I can return it?" Alex hitches one hip over the balcony, ready to take Saint Tay back the way he found her. He may have almost fallen once, but he'll risk the journey again if it means putting off the disappointed tongue lashing he's about to receive. The Ayalassi's nostrils flare. Alex freezes. She holds out a hand and Alex carefully extracts the statuette from his pack and offers it to her. A few doors have opened along the hall, some of the convent's other resident students awoken by the commotion and curious to find out what trouble Alex Quinones has gotten himself into this time. Back to bed, Ayalassi Kateri says without looking. Doors click closed once more. She cradles the statuette in her arm and begins to walk away. Alexander, I'll see you in my office. Yes, Ayalassi. Alex clears his throat, hoping against hope that he can still avoid the ultimate fate. Ayalassi, don't call Ruby? The Ayalassi doesn't break her stride. You'll be calling your sister yourself, young man. Ruby Quinones hates that she's got a gun strapped to her thigh right now. She can shoot it just fine, thank you, but she's a hacker. When the job suddenly requires the hacker to carry the gun, that means shit has gone horribly wrong. Though, honestly, Ruby's got no one but herself to blame. She's the one who agreed to take on another job for Raj Demetrio. They're gearing up in a bare bones hole Raj rented for this job. It stinks of the last resident's takeout and barely has enough room for one person to maneuver amid surveillance, electronics, and weaponry, let alone two. So when we get to the access shaft, Raj is saying, and she lets him keep talking, checks the gun again, then turns to look over the rest of her gear. Extractor rig, check. Data stick with the moth virus, check. Backups data stick, check. Access scrambler, check. Snake bite kit, check. Lipstick, check. Ruby has a rule about working for people more than once. Yes, as a freelancer, it's better to cultivate repeat clients. As a specialist with a touchy set of in-demand skill sets, identity fixing, corporate espionage, etc., she could benefit from the protection of a regular repeat client. But you start working for someone regularly and they think you're friendly. Maybe they start to ask about your past, start to think they can confide some stories of their own, and pretty soon you're obligated to them. In the 12 years since she turned 18 and left the convent of the Imaya Apostles, she's tried to keep the world at arm's length. She's been good at it too, until this Arkelian grifter, Raj, talked her into having a drink to celebrate the first job he hired her for. Over drinks, she'd agreed to his next harebrained scheme, and somehow the pattern had repeated until they were meeting up even when work wasn't involved, like some kind of friends. Raj knows things about her now. He's toasted stories about dramatic breakups with her ex-girlfriend. He's laughed at tales of Ruby growing up with the Ayas, saying she even let Raj meet Alex the last time the kid got kicked out. Which is the crux of the problem. In less than a year, Alex will turn 18 and be asked to leave the convent for good, and Ruby will need to have gotten her act together. Her job now is to learn how to create a stable family for him as he finds his own path, one that in no way is going to mirror her own, not if she has anything to say about it. Continuing to work with Raj is the opposite of what she'd be doing, because her partner, her soon-to-be former partner, is about to get her killed. Again. Ruby, are you listening to me? Raj rakes his fingers through his shoulder-length black hair, smoothing it into a clubbed ponytail. He's dressed all in black, same as her, a loose-fitting shirt over lightweight biosilk armor. Her own armor sits tight around her ribcage like a vice, or maybe that's just anxiety. Raj lifts an eyebrow, waiting for her response. When we get to the access shaft in Ba sector, we're to head directly to Casey Ahern's townhouse complex, she says, repeating the rest of his plan word for word. She even throws in a touch of Raj's classy Arkelian drawl over her own gutter trash Artemisian accent, even though Raj normally hides that particular accent in these parts. At which point, I'll splice in and release the moth into Ahern's system to cover our tracks after you fucked up and got us on his radar. She embellished that last part. Did I miss anything? Raj shakes his head. Did I ever tell you how scary your memory is? Yeah, well. Ruby turns back to check her gear for a third time, annoyed. Her memory is hard-earned, the result of years trying to remember anything that happened before she was abandoned with her baby brother on the doorstep of the Imaya Apostles. No matter how she's honed her recall, she hasn't been able to pierce that veil of the past. Raj must see that on her face because he winces. I didn't mean, because of course he knows about that too. Something about Raj gets under your defenses. Saints in hell. I was listening to you, Ruby says. Here's where I don't think you've been listening to me only. Something in Ruby's tone straightens Raj's spine. Good. You told me you checked this job out. You told me this job wasn't going to go shitwise like the last one did. And I'll make it up to you, Ruby. You will then. but I don't know if now's the time to talk about this. Then find us a time on your social calendar after, yeah? She waves away whatever apology he's coming up with. Let's get going. Her comm chimes, and she frowns at Alex's name on the connection request. It's far too late for him to be calling just to chat, which he hasn't done since he was 14 anyways. She bats away the call. She'll catch him after. I'm all set. Everything all right? Raj asks. Beautiful, love, she says. Let's get this done. Hey, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that reading. So I promised I'd tell you a little bit more about Crooked, and here we are. So what Crooked is a series of sci-fi crime anthologies that are edited by me. And the thing that sets this anthology series apart is that it exclusively focuses on including stories that are part of a bigger universe. So if you read one story by an author, say if you really enjoyed what you just heard, you can go to that author's site, which will be below in the show notes, and you can read more stories set in that universe. So the idea is to give readers kind of more of what they love and introduce them to other authors. So for example, if you're a big fan of one person's universe and you find, oh, they've got a story in Crooked, you can go read that story, and then you might find other stories by similar authors, and then you can go read their world. So kind of just a way of helping readers explore and find more authors that they love. And so if you enjoyed what you heard, please go support that author. Follow the links below. You can go buy the anthology and read more stories, or listen to more of the presentations of people reading excerpts from their stories on this YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe there. And I look forward to bringing you more exciting sci-fi crime stories. Take care out there.